My entitled aunt tried to steal my inheritance. Little backstory. My aunt has always had a greedy streak ever since I was a kid. She is the type of person that will yell at a store employee because something that was advertised isn't in stock or not at that particular store or not on sale and has been banned from entering multiple stores. When my grandmother was on her deathbed, my aunt had talked her way into getting my grandmother to sign her on as an executor of the will and ended up taking everything and anything that had the most value. Fast forward, my uncle was my best friend. I always looked up to him as a kid. He was a truck driver, so he would be gone for a long time, and I remember one summer he even took me with him on the road. But sadly my uncle had cancer, and while he was in the hospital my aunt had tried to get him to assign her as an executor of his will, but since he was quick to pick up on what happened when my grandmother passed away, he hired a professional estate lawyer that would take care of everything. If you can imagine, my aunt was not very happy and was quick to throw out a sob story of how offended she was that her brother couldn't entrust her with an important task. This went on for 2 weeks. Even on his last day in hospice, she still brought it up, and was asked to leave by nurses. He passed away peacefully in 2011. Now I didn't know it at the time, but I quickly found out why my aunt was. So we were all asked to gather at my mom's home where the estate lawyer came to tell us who was getting what. Finally, my time came on the list, and I was surprised to have anything willed to me. What did my uncle will to me? It was his rig and car, of course. My uncle's rig is a 2008 Lone Star International which was fully loaded. His car is a 1966 Chevelle SS. My first thought was, what in the hell am I going to do with a big rig? My aunt's first thought. Well, she didn't have a first thought. She just screamed and cussed at the lawyer, saying that I was too sick to have those things and didn't deserve them because I was his nephew and not his sister. The lawyer asked her to sit down, and he would get to her. When my aunt sat down, she looked at me and said, "You're giving me the title to both of those," to which I laughed and said, "In your dreams maybe." The lawyer kept going down the list, and because my uncle was a legend, he put my aunt at the bottom of the list and said to quote to my sister, "I am leaving her my luckiest, most important dollar, because all present at this meeting will know she needs it most," and then was handed the dirtiest looking Canadian $1 coin which was sealed in a block of acrylic. Myself, my dad and my other uncles nearly wet ourselves laughing. My aunt however didn't find it that funny and instead went into another tirade on how this was unfair and saying she didn't have anything to hold on that was his. The day passed and then the nightmare began. My aunt would call over and over and over asking about the truck, wanting to buy the car, if I was going to sell the truck, if I was going to sell the car, all to which I said no. Things got worse when my aunt started saying that she wanted her car and she had someone that wanted to buy our truck. At this point I got extremely irritated and said, "It's not your car, it's my car, and my car is staying with me, and it's not our truck, it's my truck, and no one is buying it." A week later I woke up and heard something, so I went to investigate and there was a tow truck in the driveway. I quickly told the tow truck driver, who was a friend of my aunt, that if he so much as put a hand on that Chevelle I would have him arrested for trespassing and grand theft, and then proceeded to call the police. Cop showed up and I told the police officer my side of the story. Then he went to my aunt and the conversation went like this. "Cop, ma'am, can you tell me, is this your car?" Aunt: "Yes, it is. He just won't give it to me." Cop: "Ma'am, do you have the title of the vehicle?" Aunt: "No, I do not. He won't give that to me." Cop: "Well ma'am, I looked at the registration and title of the vehicle and he is listed as the owner of the vehicle. That vehicle is legally not yours and having it towed could land you and your friend prison time for auto theft." Aunt: "Well, I think I am the one who should get the car because he can't even take care of himself." Cop: "Ma'am, it doesn't matter what you think. What matters is legal ownership, which you do not have." A week later my aunt had attempted to take me to court for the car, which the case wasn't even put before a judge. My aunt refiled the claim again. It went to court and once I provided a copy of the will, title, and registration, the judgment went in my favor and my aunt was forced to pay my court costs after dismissing my aunt's claims with prejudice, meaning she can never file that lawsuit again. Then tragedy struck again. This time a great uncle passed away. I was on the will again. Can you guess what was left to me? A new U car. My great uncle's 1967 Chevrolet Impala SS, which he restored himself. My great aunt, his widow, was thrilled that I got it, but the mood was quickly soured when she realized that my entitled aunt, her niece, really was not thrilled that I got it. This time she stepped it up a notch and skipped the screaming and complaining and instead went to scheming. 3 days after I took possession of the Impala, she rented not just one flatbed, but 2 flatbeds. She managed to get the Impala onto the flatbed and sped off, leaving her boyfriend behind attempting to get the Chevelle on his flatbed as quickly as he could while I stood by on the phone with police. Police quickly caught up with my aunt and arrested her. Her boyfriend was arrested in my driveway and soiled himself in the process. Her and her boyfriend were hit for 2 counts of motor vehicle theft. Both were charged and found guilty and sentenced to 2 years and 2 days in jail. Endpoints: I haven't spoken to or heard from my aunt since she got out of prison, and I have no desire to. Before she was released from jail, I filed a restraining order against her and it has stood since then, but the last I heard, she is still screaming at store employees, complaining about money and asking about me and the vehicles. I still am the owner of all 3 vehicles, the Chevelle, the Impala and the Lone Star International, and don't plan on selling any of them. I repair and build computers for a living, but more and more I have been getting into auto repair as a hobby. As I do live in Canada, I do not drive the Impala or Chevelle during winter months, but every year I always take my great aunt, who is now 96 years old, to A&W to get a burger, onion rings and an ice cold root beer in the Impala, which is something my great uncle did for her since he got the Impala in 1970. A very good friend of my uncle's whom now owns a business actually rents the Lone Star International from me. He promised me that he would not get a single scratch or spot of rust on any single part of it, and to this day that Lone Star looks factory new and has been all over the world. The guy that rents the truck even continued doing a little tradition my uncle did, which was to get a decal on the truck of the state/province/territory flag of the places the truck has visited. It currently has 31 state decals and 3 province decals on it. My great aunt isn't in great health and she has told me that she put me in her will so that I will get her cars, which are 2 of my great uncle's first cars, originally left to her in the will, which are a 1958 Chevrolet Impala and 1957 Plymouth Belvedere Fury, which is my favorite car. I saw the movie Christine when I was 6 years old in 1996. Ever since I love the car, because she knows that I will take care of it and park it right beside the 67 Impala SS. I can already imagine the fallout that I'm going to get for that, so there may even be another post, though I really do hope there is not. Thank you for reading and I hope you have a great day/evening.